You're on the 6, you need to get on the 7. The 6 is here, the 7's there, then guess what? You got to come all the way back down table to get on the 8. You could shoot a series of shots that look like this. You play the 6 in that corner pocket, you come down here. How am I getting from the 7 to the 8? Well, it depends. Did my ball stop here? Did it stop here? Or did it stop here? Where it is stopped, I'm going to play a shot that looks like this. This is a stun. The length of the table, I'm going to come down, I'll have position on the 8. Now you're on the 9 ball. If you're a 9 ball player, what are you going to do? Where do you want to play it? If I want to play it here, I'm going to move in line with the shot with high right hand English. And I have a decent shot on the 9. And for the money, let's shoot the 9 ball. Today, I'm going to show you about 10 different shots that are going to help you get from this end of the table to that end of the table and then back if necessary. So watch till the end. So let's take a look at our first example first. We're on the 6 ball. The way we get down table for this 7 depends on a lot of things. One, what game are we playing? What else is happening on the table? Where do we need to go after getting on the 7? If we are here and we need to get on that 7 ball, zigzag across the table. If my position is different and I have something that looks like this, well, the zigzag is out, right? Our 7 ball is still here. And moving in line with this shot is very difficult. When I say moving in line with the shot, I mean playing a position that's going to come off the rail and actually move in the line with the shot. And those of you that aren't familiar with this, we want to move in line with the shot when we can, because we can do things wrong as far as our speed goes and still be on that ball. So moving in line with this shot, I'm coming off this rail, I'm going that way, or even coming off of this rail and going that way. We stay in line with this shot much longer. But let's say I have a shot that looks like this. How do I stay in line with this shot? Well, I might not get an opportunity to. The slightest angle makes a lot of difference. From here, a lot of you are going up and back. So you're shooting a shot that looks like this, and then you come down here and you cross the shot line, and this is not bad, but look, it gets worse and worse as the cue ball travels. If you've got the shot in your game and you're trying to find a way to move in line with it, there is a draw shot that works a lot better, but again, you have to have this shot in your game. But I'm going to give it to you as an example. I'm going to come back here, hit this rail, and spin my way into the 7 ball. So that shot looks like this. Now, you see I'm moving in line with the shot. As I like to say, I could be wrong here or here. I'm on that 7 all along the way. So you say to me, Brian, I don't have that draw shot with spin. You're playing a long draw shot where you've got right hand English on it. I don't have that shot. Well, a lot of times you don't have to have that particular shot. If you have a draw shot where you can just bring the ball back to the rail here, that very often will be enough if you have the right angle to take you down table to get on this ball. In fact, if you have the correct angle and you don't need the English, I recommend not using the English on that shot. Another good way to get down table for this shot doesn't put us exactly in the shot line, but very close to the shot line. Now we're on this side of the 6, and what I mean by that is if I shoot a draw shot, I'm going to be coming this way. That's fine. If you have really decent speed control, you can probably pull this off. You come down table, you're going to get nice position. How many of you are going to stop the cue ball there? A lot of good players aren't going to stop the cue ball there over and over again. I'm not going to stop the cue ball there over and over again. Very often, I'm going to find myself here, which brings me to the next thing. A lot of you see these shots and your thoughts are, oh, well, yeah, he almost scratched. Oh, you're going to scratch. If I shoot that shot, I'm going to scratch. What I would do is I'd give you this shot, and I would say, scratch in this corner. Chances are your attempt to scratch in this corner would look like this. This is a very small target. If you tried to scratch here, it would probably take you 15 or 20 times, depending on your level. Now, an elite player, probably do it on the first or second try. First or second try, still not going to do it 100% of the time. You've got to stop worrying about scratching off a multi-rail position. You'll never shoot it, you'll never run out. You can't be that way. Try to scratch for me, and then you'll find out how difficult it is for you to scratch. Are you going to scratch sometimes? Yes, you are. But you're also not going to run out if you don't take the shot. Anytime we make a multi-rail position video, we get the same guy in the comments. Oh, well, you showed us how to get down table with the high right hand English, but when I play, when he plays, there's other balls on the table. There's no balls on the table when you shoot it. First off, there's not other balls on the table every time you shoot it. Sometimes the table is wide open like this, and if you can't shoot it when the table's wide open, what are you going to do when there is traffic on the table? So let's create some obstacles. Let's make it very difficult to not run into one of these balls and see what happens here. We're on the 3, you're down here, and you need to get on this 8 ball or you're going to be racking. So what happens if we run into a ball? Let's just see. Let's try to run into them. High right hand English, just like the scratch, just like trying to scratch. Try to run into these balls. Oh wait, that's not easy to do. These are very small targets, guys. They're 2¼ inches. If you manage to come off that rail and consistently run into that 10 ball, then you've got a special talent. That said, there will be times that you run into the traffic. But guess what has to happen when you run into the traffic? You've got to hit this ball so solid that it stops there and you're not on the 8. And guess what kind of position you put yourself in? I'm behind that 15 ball. You weren't out anyway, because if you didn't shoot the shot, you'd never get on the 8. Either way, you're racking. So why not take the shot, even though there's traffic? Do not let traffic, and you're going to have probably a lot less traffic than this when you have to go from one end to the other. Why let traffic keep you from taking the shot that is going to allow you to win the game? The number one end-to-end position play mistakes that I see is off of hangers. What are you doing here? You're going to shoot the hanger first, get perfect on the 13 so you can play a nice shot down table. Not a bad plan. Wrong plan, but not a bad plan. The best plan is to use this hanger to get down table for the 8. So how are you going to use the hanger? That's where we see the mistake the most. What we want to do is get our cue ball as close to this rail as possible. You're going to see why in a second. So I'm just going to shoot a little stun shot here. Let my cue ball take the tangent line down, get really close to this rail. I would have liked to have been here. I'm about a ball's width off of the rail. Why is this good? Because the average player, you don't have to be that great. The average player can put right hand spin on this ball and head down table and get right, get position on that 8 ball. But let's see what people do. Mistake number 1, leaving your cue ball in space. What does that mean? Instead of getting on that rail, you think to yourself, I can make that 11 from anywhere on the table, right? And then maybe you visualize you're a pretty decent player. You'll thin cut that 11 and wait a second. That's not good position, right? There's the rail first guy. So he's going to come over here, maybe put his cue ball in this zone because he wants to go rail first because he's been doing it since he was a kid. I'm going to come off of this rail, and head down table. Well, the good news is if you hit it really well, you can come down table with a lot of speed and overshoot that position. You want this shot for the money? I don't think you do. The other thing that he does, and he knows it, he's listening to this, he already knows what he does. He does this. Totally misses the 11 ball. That's as embarrassing as hell. And you know what? A couple of the best players in the world did that, made that mistake within the last 6, 7 weeks. Yes, there are times that we need to come in here, hit the rail first, and then this rail and get down table. But the reality is, especially on some tighter pockets, the reality is if you don't hit this ball well, you're not going to make it. You're going to rattle it or you're going to miss it altogether. Get that out of your game. Get to the right rail, the correct rail for your situation, and then just spin it down table. It's that easy. What's different here? Our 8-ball is in a different spot. If we stun this down with the exact same angle that we had before, which looked like this, and we get on this rail, guess what happens when we come off of these rails? All right, we're going to be on the wrong side of the 8. The other thing you could do in this situation is if you have the simplest of draw shots, you bring your cue back to this rail. Now look what's happening. When I come off of these rails, not rail first, I'm not hitting this rail first because that's what suckers do, right? We're going to play it high left. We come down, we're going to have a nice shot on the 8, and we will be on that 8-ball all day and night. You have the 3, the 6, and you have to get on the 8. What do you shoot first? If I had to shoot them in this order, and I shoot a nice draw shot, and I stop the cue ball right there on that spot, really good, right? Then that's fine. Amateur players are going to do this. And now they're on the 3. But unfortunately, they're dead straight on this 3-ball. No angle that gets them down table. The same person that's going to make that mistake does not have this shot in their game, where they're going to draw back down table the length of the table and get on this 8. If you had this angle, just simply moved yourself forward a little bit, you could come down table off of these 2 rails. You're going to hit here and you'd get on the 8 that's there. But by leaving our cue ball here, what we've done is we put ourselves in a position where a follow shot will actually help us get down here. But if we get too much angle on this shot, what's going to happen? We're going to come over here, might even hit the edge of this side pocket. That's not any good at all. So what do? We play a follow shot here. Let's see how we turn out. At some point, we're going to be moving towards this 8-ball. Now, you could straighten out this shot a little bit with some reverse English. So now we shoot our follow shot, and once again I apologize, but I'm not going to put reinforcements down to recreate the shot over and over again. We just don't do that. But if we play this, let's say with high right hand English, now when we come off the rail, we'll straighten out a little bit. We won't be this far over when we shoot the shot, and we still don't have to worry about scratching in this pocket unless we put a ton of high and a ton of right on this, to the point that we totally changed the trajectory of the cue ball. You're not going to make it that extreme. You're just not going to pull it off. But here is high right hand English on a similar shot, and you see how we straightened out our cue ball. Now, I prefer the first shot because I don't mind coming off of this rail and I've hit the edge of the pocket. This shot, because you're using inside English, that's what right hand English on this side would be, makes the making of the shot a little bit more difficult. Plus, you've got to have a good stroke because you have to have all of that right hand English that I'm sending to the rail still engaged when it hits the rail and comes down. So how you do it really is a matter of choice, but there is an answer to when you should and when you shouldn't. The straighter you are on this shot, the less you will need that inside English to straighten it out. You're more likely to come down and be almost in a straight line that's going to get you down here. Let's shoot it again. We'll give ourselves less of an angle this time. Now, we're just shooting a follow shot, 0 English. I'm going to overhit it just so you can see what happens here. That is way more speed than I need to put on it to get down here, and we get this shot. It gets better and better as you add speed to this. This is one of the wackiest mistakes that you see every week, and it is so easy to avoid. I'm going to show you this and you're going to say, oh yeah, Bobby or Bruce or Muhammad or Jack or somebody just did this. Or maybe you just did it. You're on the 6, you need to get on the 4, and you do something like this. And get so straight on that 4 that your game is done. You might as well look for the rack, okay? Because getting from this 4 to this 8 down table is a trick shot. You do not need to get from the 6 to the 4. You need to get from the 6 to the 4 to the 8. Stop getting yourself straight on these shots. And it always happens on this rail because that's where the biggest error comes in. You can shoot a stop shot here, you can roll forward a slight bit, and now you don't have to rack, because this shot, which you might not have had in your game 5 minutes ago, you're going to have in your game. And if after you see me shoot it, you still don't have it, put in an hour on this shot in different directions. But this is one of the easiest shots with rail and English side spin to put into your game. It has to be in your game, and it is, as I said earlier, a derivative of other shots that you already saw today. High left hand English, I am hitting the ball and the cushion at the same time, and notice, guys, how soft I hit it. That's 2 miles an hour at best. And I'm coming down table and I'm going to get on that 8, and I'm not going to scratch, maybe 1 in 30 times. Again, try to scratch. But that shot is not difficult.